Hello, all you delicious little chickadees out there, and welcome back to the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. I'm your host, Vernon, and I have with me, I believe, for the third time, fourth, fifth, who's counting? Because the bitch is bad. Dr. Vernon T. Scott of the Soliloquy podcast, the host of the Essential Guide on How to Be, the author of the Essential Guide on How to Be a Hoe, also the author of Prose from a Soul Seeking Justice. That's the poetry book. Doc Scott is back here today to talk to us, though, about the journal that is called A New Sexual You, which which is the latest work. And so we're journaling today. Girl, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. It's life is lifing, but at the same time, I'm embracing it because you only get one life to live, so you might as well make it happy regardless of what kind of downturns you may come across. Like, just find the positive things, and that's one of the things I'm working on, acknowledging that, things are not where I want it to be, but figuring out how I can make them a lot better. So, I'm in my own little process, and I'm just enjoying the ride at this point.
Hell to the fucks, yes. I think there was a soap opera called One Life to Live. We only have one life to live. To watch my grandmother and things, the Lord was speaking to us then. You only come this way once.
I kinda wanna be a soap opera actor just for, it's like if you get in there, you're stuck in there for some time until they have to kill you off, and I'm just like, I just wanted to do the one episode, like, I just I thought it was gonna be a cameo.
You
That would be so nice.
That's some stable ass shit. I wouldn't mind being on The Young and the they're like it's stable income, but I wouldn't mind
Mm.
being on The Young and the Restless and doing a scene with Nick, that boy who played Nick, Joshua, that fine ass boy. I think it's time for his character to become a little questioning. It's
I'm so done. Go away.
time for me to show up and help guide this young man on his questioning journey.
Go away.
Speaking of guiding people on their journey, so y'all, the way uh, Vernon has this journal laid out, he has a lot of prompts. Now, I've seen journals before that have a lot of blank pages in them and not that much written. His prompts, as he calls them, I think there's like 10 prompts in total. Mm, Or it's one prompt, but there's like 4 or 5 different questions per prompt. And they're written, so it's probably like 30 questions or something, throughout the whole thing, and they're written to help to guide you along. So you kind of feel like Vernon's right there with you, helping to guide, and you can always, reach out to him anyway with questions. He's a sexual experience coach. He's coming from his own history of sexual abuse and trauma, which he's overcome to help the world do the same. And so what would you like to tell us about this book before I start interrogating you with my 20 questions?
Oh my god, not 20. I'm here for it, I'm here for it. I would say the great thing about it is that it allows you to question yourself, to dive a lot deeper, and one of the reasons why there are multiple questions in each prompt is because a lot of people, when you get that basic question, they don't know what's next, and sometimes having a little bit more thought-provoking things that goes deeper and deeper into those questions that you're asking yourself helps you develop your thought processes. It helps you critically think. It helps you find the answer a little bit. I can't say sooner because everybody's process is a little bit different, but it helps you go a little bit deeper into yourself w- more than that basic, oh, how are you feeling? I'm feeling good. Okay. And what's after that? So the it's phrased in a way that you get that what's after that at the forefront. In addition to that, it allows people who are exploring themselves to find their creative side too. Because what is it like when it comes to sex in general? I personally believe that a lot of people's blockage is because they lack creativity. They lack the option of freedom. And that's one of the things that this journal allows people to do. You get to create these. yeah, they're already printed for you. Yeah, they already have their own structures, but you get to create your own narrative with these images. You get to create your own characters with them. Like one of the things that is even mentioned in the instructions, you get to gender bend however you feel is best for you. Like there's one image in there where it is a feminine body, but the journal in itself plays on the mask films throughout. But the feminine body in this one comes within the masculine section of it. So it's like, oh, okay. So how can I dive deeper into that? So I would say it is just a way for you for yourself, be creative and dive deeper into your own introspection and figure out how you can embrace your own sexuality a lot more.
You had me dive deeper. That that's that's what I kept hearing. Maybe it's because I had this man over here earlier this morning who dove really deep.
Mm, love a deep dive now. Hold up. Let me find one of those. It's been a dry season, Lord. I'm so
But let me do like they do in church and extend my hand so that
I
we can break the
receive.
dry spell. Like like when the cloud came out of the river and they said, we hear the sound of an abundance of rain. It had 3 year it had been that 3 year dry spell. I think was the prophet Elijah or Samuel. It was one of the two. And he got in his chariot and ran, and baby, it hadn't rained in 3 years, but it rained.
Chile. Child, I accept a lot of rain at this moment. You could make it rain some cash. While you at it. Let me not. Let me not. Let me start taking off my shirt. I'm joking. I'm joking. Not on the internet this time. Not on the internet this time. Find me on my OnlyFans. I'm sorry.
Yes. His website, I'm glad you said OnlyFans. His websites are Soliloquy.com and SlattersPlayhouse.com. He's on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that will go in the show notes. But yeah, honey, I let him come over here and do a deep dive. He came so fast the first time, they call me the Diamond Princess too, you know.
Ooh, ooh,
But
ooh, child.
then and then I think he was so into it and then also so feeling some type of way, maybe embarrassed that he decided to fuck me again, you
Mm,
know? And so and we're gonna be talking about sexual performance because that was one of your prompts. I have some questions about the way tops view sexual performance because I don't view it
mhm,
that way. But yeah, I understand the dry spell. Everybody knows, I had to break up with my covertly narcissistic ex back
mm,
in January. So we're moving forward. But I had to go. I mean, ain't nothing gonna take the place of being with like one person who you can get dick from 5 nights a week if you want to.
facts.
Shit was wonderful. I thought the sex, in our relationship, unfortunately, was like one of the best things. There's so much more to life than that. But that's really one of the best things he could give me because he was so emotionally unavailable. But
Mhm.
you know we were having to move on, and that's all that there is to it. I'm saying all this to say, may your dry spell be broken in Jesus' name.
Amen. And we receive it. All my damn identities, we
I
receive.
mean, if it gets that bad, I'm gonna hop on a flight and come over there and break it myself,
Ooh,
okay?
ooh, we love it. Yes.
Okay, so let's start at the cover. The book cover, I have a thing about book covers, and yours is especially colorful, y'all. It's purple. I think he might be able to hold it up for us, perchance.
Yep.
All right. And so there you go, bling bling. Purple, it matches my lilac colored Easter inspired, spring inspired beard right now. I'm seeing it looks like Starros, and this book is out on Amazon and everything yet, or is it yet to be released?
It is out, I believe it is on Amazon. What I would recommend doing because it is a lot cheaper, just getting it from the source, just go to my website to purchase it at Slater's Playhouse. It's so much easier for everybody. Other outside printing sources charge like 30 plus, I think, and that's for the cheapest version of it, and the rest is like 45 and 50, and you don't have to pay that. Pay the 25 at the website or the 20 at the website, so
And it's still like
and, for some people who may not have those funds, because I love accessibility, there's also a digital version too, so that you can print it out at home, and that's only $5.
and I think it's like 160 something pages, 161, 100
Mhm.
pages. And so it's not a little thin anorexic journal. This one here has, but I hate that, man. When I buy a journal or something like that, that is prompted by someone and not just a marble journal like what we used in grade school, I
Mhm.
expect some prompting in there like what you gave, not these little one-liners every few pages. No. I felt like this journal has a lot of soul and depth into it. So people who have never journaled before are not, this is great, for them. But I see like angel wings in the back. Explain this cover to me and why you went with it.
So, I've been feeling a lot of, like, universal energy, let's put it that way, and a part of that is also connecting to the things that make me feel free, and part of that is feathers and flying and being out. Like, whenever I think of freedom, I think of birds because they can go wherever they want at any time, and all they have to do is just spread their wings and go. So that's why on many of my covers, you may see some types of feathers, be it the wings that's like shrouded in the back in the center of the cover, or even at the bottom, something that's like a little small cloud area or galaxy. But no, it's actually just a collection of wings. And it's just something that always gave me a sense of freedom. And because this is a journal that focuses on sexuality and finding the new you, finding the new sexual you, and finding that sexual freedom, I thought, why not? Let's put some wings on there so that you understand that you too can fly and soar and all of that.
Lord, give me two wings so I can fly away from all of this bullshit.
Amen.
Oh, I'll get them when I die, and so will you.
Yeah.
So, so you've already talked about like the purpose of the journal and everything like that. I think I've stated why your journal is different than others, but is there anything you would like to say about why your journal ain't like the other journals?
I would say I have yet to see a journal that gives you the freedom to draw, color, and all this other stuff and write, to really make something your own. Yes, when it comes to like just like the basic notebook that you get to write in, you get to draw in the margins or you get to figure that out as you go along. But this automatically gives you that permission up front, lets you know, make this yours, decorate it however you want to decorate it, attach your creativity to your own journey of yourself. Make this something that is extremely personal to you on multiple levels. And I don't see that in too many other journals. And on top of that, similar to what you said earlier, many of those journals only have like a one sentence question. They don't really probe you to go deeper. I made that mistake with my first journal that I made within the series. And I just was like, okay, let's put some thought provoking questions at the front and go with. Yes, they are helpful questions, but one of the things I realized is that what is the like I said earlier, what is that next step? It's great to just have that question, but what's going to be the thing to help guide people through their processes, guide their like figuring out what their thoughts are, figuring out who they are as a person. Like one of the questions, if I can ask it, and it's also one of my favorite ones, is from prompt two. As soon as I pull that up, is related to consent. So most people are who are unfamiliar with the what consent is, they may have just that basic yes or no, but this actually focuses on yourself rather than like anybody else's definition. So the question asks, what does consent mean to me? How does it look and sound? How does consent feel? And when I am most comfortable with providing, wait, when am I most comfortable with providing consent? So it's like you really have to think about these things. It's not just yes or no questions. It's figuring out how these things related to sexuality really do relate to yourself as well.
I feel like I need to say that journaling is not like a male female thing. This isn't something like
Mm,
girls do. It's not You're not less of a dude if you want to take your pencil out, pen or whatever and write. It's not like that because journaling taps into the soul, to the mind is
mm.
but anyway, because nobody needs to know you have the thing, you know. And so I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to speak to like any sort of like mischaracterizations or stereotypes that might or stigmas that might be attached to this.
Mm. No, that's it's good that you said that because many people do think that it's just something that women do because, like, even when you think about the media that we watch, you have that Dear Diary moment, our girls in their diaries and stuff like that. But yeah, you'll have men who journal, but this is usually somebody that's like a prominent figure. So like the journals of George Washington or a judge or whatever it is, whatever like CSI related show that you're watching and it's some high powered individual was murdered. You find their collection of journals, but it's not often stated that, oh, the everyday man has that permission to write as well. So I think it is good to mention that anyone can journal and journaling is good regardless of who you are.
And it's a developing skill. So you sit down to write your first page in your first journal. Don't think you're gonna be like Angela Lansbury in Murder She Wrote, you know, or Oprah Winfrey or some damn body like that. You have to crawl before you walk in just about anything you do in life. So it's not about writing it perfectly. Like you say in here, it's about just speaking your truth and being truthful. Now tell me why is truth important in journaling?
I would say in order for you to truly engage, I'm using the word in this, but in order for you to truly engage with yourself, you do have to tell the truth. It's easy for us to be fixated in the lies that we tell ourselves or the lies that we tell other people. And how do you truly expect for yourself to grow if you cannot be honest with yourself about the things that are really bothering? So that's why it is pivotal for people to maintain truthfulness in their conversation. Sometimes it's too early to approach that truth. And oftentimes we do recognize that we have glossed over something. But when you recognize that, give yourself that opportunity to go back and address that a little bit later on, or even address it in a different way and see what comes out.
'Cause it's a living thing. So what you write, you can come back and revisit and you can track your growth. I wanna say, and I know we live in a technological age, Doc Scott. I need you bitches to put the damn phone down
Yes.
and, and pick up a pencil, a number 2, okay? Or some and
That's a
fuck
number 2.
take your hand and write in the damn journal. I know you have notes in your cell phone, but it's a different way that the brain is wired to your handwriting across paper versus clicking on that technological device.
Mhm.
When I was doing my hypnotist certification, we would have to handwrite in pencil, and then we could go back and interpret that handwriting, by the way the letters lay and things like that, and learn everything about a person, before they even much open their mouth. you know, there is something to physically writing, as old school and archaic as it may be. But when you really, really need deep help and deep work done, we had to kick this technology to the side and get back to our roots.
Mm. I think a lot of that is because when you do handwrite, everything becomes so much more personal. Because when you do the digital thing, it's the screen. It's always the screen. Whatever you type, whatever you put out there is so far distant you're not really yeah, you can get carpal tunnel for, like, typing all the time. Okay, whatever. You know, that. But it doesn't really do anything within your body whenever you are typing these things. You're just doing a task on a regular basis, but whenever you actually sit down and write something, when you write your signature, whenever you put your body to motion to articulate the things that you're trying to say and in the language that your body actually understands, that tends to stick a lot more than when you just type because these letters on the keyboard they don't speak our language. They just speak what the keyboard says. They speak an idea that you're putting out there in the digital space, but they're not speaking the same language that your body has learned throughout the ages because you're not typing at first. You're learning how to write your name. You're learning how to write a sentence by putting it on paper. Your body remembers that. And outside of that, typing on the skill on the keyboard just becomes a skill and not a part of your identity, not a part of yourself.
Fuck yeah, like, your handwriting is unique to, like, your DNA, and you
Mm,
use this something as basic as handwriting, and I like a pencil because that lead is more natural than ink. In spiritual circles, if you do certain types of spiritual work, you must use a pencil to do it, and you
mm,
to go as far as to use parchment paper or, like, brown paper that is untainted and untouched by man in order to access what you're trying to access. You gotta go back to the roots, bitch.
mm,
But you can use, like, writing with a number 2 pencil to recenter yourself, to refocus, to remember who you are, to get in touch with that. Like Doc Scott said, you start off right, and then by the time y'all know in fucking 5th grade, you got a goddamn tablet you running around with, and you clicking away at everything, you'll turn into that crazy bitch from Megan who's obsessed with that fucking doll and didn't wanna give the damn thing up. The hoe was strung out on the damn electronic. You know, because she didn't know who the fuck she was apart from the technology.
mhm.
Um, and we're gonna be talking about apps later because in the email you sent, you wanted to talk about dating apps and all of that, and I got some shit to say because that's a huge part of what cost me my relationship.
Mm.
But I don't know. I don't know if you want to talk more about what journaling has personally done for you. An interesting thing happened yesterday. I went with a new friend of mine, this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man. His name is Landon. He has a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wife and everything, and they're just an amazing couple, and I love the way he adores her, both when he's with her and when he's not. And but he and I went to go see Dungeons& and Dragons, and Imma tell you, the Lord moves in mysterious ways. I was sitting there watching this movie. I'm not big into D&D, but Landon is gonna teach me how to play it. The ex played it, but he never invited me to the games, even though that would have been nice because I was the one who took him up there and pushed him to start playing them, but that's a whole other thing. You know? But the Lord has given me better. I have a new person who does invite me to it and everything like that, and so but the characters in there reminded me of issues from my previous relationship, and when I got home and I hadn't journaled in a good while, I broke out my famous red journal, and I wrote it took me a few hours, and I just talked about, how God was speaking to me about what happened in my relationship, and I felt a great sense of validation and everything, and I'm gonna release a show, and I'm gonna read this journal, to people, and it's like from Harry Potter when they have that pensieve and they do that spell where you can take the thought out of your head and drop
Mm,
bitch into that pensieve and don't fucking worry about it no more, but go pick it up when you want to. That
mhm.
is for me. Too much shit going on in here. Put it down on paper. There, my brain feels relieved and the load has been lightened. Do you have like a very specific example of a time when journaling broke you free?
Now, journaling helped me come back from psychosis. And, like, this was during the height of the pandemic, might as well let's say 2021-ish. And I just started with a new therapist and working with him, and he suggested that I use journaling as a way to ground myself a little bit more into reality and everything that's going on and process a lot of the things that's been bothering me or just even some past experiences. And it helped me literally it did help me ground myself back into reality. It helped me figure out some of the things that were still bothering me that I thought I resolved, but I did not necessarily get over. It also helped me get in touch with my creative side and get more in touch with my writing side too. I there's been moments I will be writing in my journal and I will say something that I feel is profound and I will underline it or put a star next to it and I'll put a message to myself like, you need to use this line in like a story somehow and keep going back into exploring myself and figuring out what's bothering me, doing the shadow work and all of that uh, within my journal, of course. But like it has helped me tremendously. And I will say I did use one of those lines in one of I can't say it was a short story because I never really went back to it, but a story that I was beginning to write. And it felt so freeing to address that in that way too. It helped me dive back into story writing and developing a world and all of that. So yeah, journaling, it's that it's that girl.
He's that bitch. Look, and there are many of you suffering from mental health issues and emotional problems. And if you haven't tried journaling, what the fuck do you have to lose?
Mm,
Now, when you really, really get desperate and need help and you're really ready for it, you'll try anything. But, this is a very, very beautiful journal. So the pictures in here are in black and white. Like Doc Scott was saying, you can color them. It starts off, or at least at towards the beginning of it, it's like a beautiful lotus flower that I'm looking at with like a heart in it and everything. And these pictures, I'm gonna tell y'all, get progressively kinkier, matriculate through. I see a few, I think, asses in here, definitely some torsos and such, some titties and whatnot, a six pack or something like that. Somebody straddling somebody. Oh, I ain't gonna say it's porn. It's very, like, expressive, and it's very body positive. Not everybody in here has a six pack. I see some hips, tips, and curves and everything like that, and I think that that is fucking wonderful. And so
yeah.
how interactive it is.
Yes, and one of the things that I do as my self-critique is that I could not find any more like thicker masculine body types so I could put in there. But that's one of the things I'm working on fixing for like the third iteration of the sexual exploration journal. So I can like the theme of it is body. So I have to make sure I have like a lot more body representation throughout that entire journal for the people who like to color and, you know, do that work. So be on the
I
lookout, people.
I'm just nobody's judging you, and if they do, then fuck them.
Ooh,
Look, and I'm impressed that you put the artwork and everything together yourself. That's quite a skill. And you know what? We give you a pass on not having every body type, just like it's like we forgave Gwyneth Paltrow for doing Love, Sex, and Goop on Netflix and having just about everybody represented except for two dudes being in a relationship, even though she
mm,
had women, straight couple, didn't see any trans either, Gwyneth. You know, get
you're right.
your
I
get your
did peep.
Get your Iron Man on all you want, but we holding out for the next season where where we're sure you'll get to those which you weren't able to get to in the first season. It's
Mhm. The shade, the Sade, and I love it because I felt the same. I was like, I will say I did love to see the bigger bodies up in that bitch. I did love to see it. I was also like, a little more.
where was the Batman to my Robin?
Mm,
So, for those of you who haven't seen Love, Sex, and Goop, I guess it's still on Netflix. Super cool. It's all about couples exploring their sexuality and being guided through it because a lot of couples have so much piss poor communication
mm,
and everything. You would think that it would be just easy to reach over to your partner because people have so many fucking unresolved issues. And so we always could use a little help. One of your prompts asked the question, what prevents me from trusting others?
Mm. Yes.
And again, it's just one of the questions within that prompt. There's like 4 or 5 questions about trust. There's just one. We can't tell it all. We got to tell on it. And this stood out to me because I'm the type until now who would just trust people too far, too much, too fast. You know, where I love hard, I believe in people and everything like that, and I have no ill intentions towards people. I forget that not everybody thinks that way.
Mm.
When it comes down to sex, sexual relations, relationships, trust is a multi-level thing. For instance, people will guard their hearts and don't trust people with their true emotions or to show their real self, but they'll pull their dick out without thinking about it or go run behind closed doors with somebody without telling anyone where they're at. So so you're willing to trust somebody with your anatomical safety, believing they won't give you a disease. Well, we can see how the HIV pandemic and hepatitis has gone with that. And we have not been very smart in that. Not judging. I have, a history of HIV and hepatitis B myself, so I'm the first one to say I wasn't smart with that. I trusted too much. And we trust that people aren't gonna cut us up into itty bitty pieces when we get behind closed doors, although the stories still come in of people going missing on hookups to this day.
Mm.
This did not disappear when Dahmer died or whatever the hell. People are still getting cut up on hookups, y'all. So so talk to me about trust, what it means to you, and what would you like to say to people about it? My concern is that we put our physical safety at risk and really our mental health at risk by the things we're willing to do, even though we guard certain portions. It's like it's unbalanced trust and it doesn't balance out.
See, for me, I'm similar to you. I like to give people trust until they prove themselves otherwise of being trustworthy. But when it comes to when I provide trust to other people, I also think about my boundaries and like moving within a space of trust without boundaries is asking for destruction. Whenever you do have those boundaries, do know what you're comfortable with, what you want to allow, that allows you to make a lot more different decisions. Most definitely when it comes to how far you go with another individual. And for me, I like to have clear understandings of things. So in order for me to come into a space where I'm open to providing my body with somebody, I need clarity on what are your intentions here? What are you most comfortable with? What what are you interested in doing? Are you willing to send a picture of yourself? If not, what are you willing or comfortable enough sharing? Let's talk about things before we even get to that space of having sex. And another thing is I do feel like because of some of the messages that we receive in throughout, our upbringing is that we have always been given the permission to be sexual and trust people with our bodies in a way, but we have not been given that permission to trust people with like knowing us intimately on another level outside of sex, meaning having those honest conversations about what, comfort levels or do you want to cuddle after we are done hooking up or just having those healthier conversations about how you want to engage with other people. We do not receive that permission at all. We have to learn to do that after we've been traumatized or come across so many fuck boys or fuck girls or fuck people that we are just like, oh, maybe I should operate a little bit differently. Or like we are not even given permission to engage in love outside of what society says love looks like. But we can freely give our bodies because most definitely with those who are within the queer community, because we are over sexualized for whatever. You find out somebody's queer, oh, you must be having a lot of sex. What the hell made you think that? because that is the societal thought process is that if you're queer, you're engaging in a lot of sex, and that's not always the truth. But many of us do enact that narrative because that's what we were told throughout our lives. So it's easier for us to just be like, oh, I can give you my body because that's expected of me already. It's not expected of me to actually find a healthy and loving relationship with the person before we even engage in sex. But that's the it's the flip side for a lot of women. They are told that they have to find the love of their life before they engage in sex. They are to wait on it until they find the right person that they're most comfortable with, losing their virginities to, and all this other stuff. However, men, queer people, just go out there and fuck and enjoy your fucking and explore as much as you want until you may find somebody that you fell in love with or fall in love with and all that other mess.
I feel like on some level, and my request for your next journal rendition is that you include a prompt that has to do with sexual limitations in terms of taking it too far. You know, at what point is your sexuality getting out of hand? Because I've been attending like
Mm,
Sex Addicts Anonymous groups to be sure that since now that I'm single again, I don't turn back into a grinder hoe or anything like that, acting out or trying to fill a void or anything like that. Or and then I'm checking myself, you know, in and keep and keeping my thoughts, you know, from spiraling all over the place. Well, I'm also attending the Sex Addicts Anonymous group because I realized, you know, I think that like from a child, probably I was, and nobody ever explained sex to me. And so I learned it from television, like you're saying. And then when I got HIV, I shut down and stopped having sex pretty much altogether. And I learned from reading the Sex Addicts Anonymous literature that that is still a form of like sex, having a sex problem. So either if you take it too far and you just fuck your brains out all through town, or if you do like me and cave in and just feel like you just begin to demonize it because you judge yourself. In my case, I judge myself for letting myself get HIV. Either extreme is bad. Now it's okay, you know, I think if somebody needs to pause for some time to get a
mhm,
perspective, but pausing is one thing, knowing you're gonna reengage as opposed to hating yourself like I did. Both of those extremes, doing it too much or too little, require guidance. And so that's why I'm going through that. And so I wonder, so I would like a prompt about restraint, over-sexualization, and dangers. How can my sex life put me in danger in ways that I'm not thinking about?
mm,
You know, renting a hotel room or motel room and turning the lights off and being blindfolded and letting anyone come in there and fuck you might be kinky. Some people are gonna call that sex positive. Hey, do what you want. But let's be real about the risks involved in that.
mhm,
See? And these are the kind of things that I talk with my SAA sponsor about, you know, just being super mindful. Mm, yeah, society tells people sex is okay. Love is not. The patriarchy has told women how to be, how to act, how to feel, what to do with their posties and everything like that. You know, fuck the damn patriarchy. Also, not just sexual orientations and lifestyles, but ages. One of the struggles that I had, and y'all gonna probably hear me reference that ex of mine for some time to come. I believe that I went through what I went through to help you. Because you know I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna be quiet because somebody's gotta be warned.
mm,
Also, as my hypnotherapist pointed out, since my dad's a narcissist, that older dude who basically molested me when I was 15 was a narcissist. You know, she believed that he came into my life in order to not just heal me of what I went through with him, but the other men too.
mm,
And so I'm happy about this all. And so we gonna tell it. But one of his things was he thought that since he was in his 20s, this meant being a slut and being a hoe. And I said, there are 20-year-olds who do that, but there are people in their 20s who do not do that. So if
mhm,
you're going to be about that life, just say it's because you're about that life, not because your 20s mandates that you be out in the streets like that. So don't have no excuses to hide behind it. if that's what you're trying to do. But my
Right.
whole thing is he let society tell him, I don't know, to watching TV or he would never put his damn phone down, was always on Instagram, tell him what he's supposed to do in his 20s. And I would say, what do you want? Where did
Mhm.
you come up with these things in your mind from? No answers. So we need to be sure that we're not letting television, social media, the church, family, or nobody tell us how we're supposed to be. Journaling is a good way to delineate that and to get out your actual thoughts so you can separate that shit from the voices in your head that are not your own. Like
Mhm.
like Emperor Palpatine told Rey in that damn Star Wars movie, he's like, "I'm every voice you have ever heard." Okay. He was like, "I've been in your head, bitch, this whole time, and you didn't even know." Like, we gotta kick a bastard like that out. They even got too comfortable in our minds. It ain't
Mhm.
even in rent. Mm-mm.
Exactly. I love that you mentioned that, look, because people really do think that because of a certain age, this is how they're supposed to be, regardless of how old the person is or how young they are. Like, whenever people decide to subscribe to a certain narrative, they have to recognize that that's a choice that they're choosing to make. Like, I remember being in my 20s and people saying, "Oh, this is the age that you're supposed to be finding love, getting in a relationship, and doing all these other things." And I would tell people, many of them who often got mad at me, that I'm not ready for a relationship. I know I'm not ready, and I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where I'm going to what? End this relationship because everything is a mess, because neither one of us is ready, or if you are, I'm not. So what are we gonna be doing here other than just saying hey to each other and cuddling up together, and what else? Like, I don't have the foundation that I require in order for me to feel comfortable in a relationship, therefore I will not be in one. So people really do think, most definitely like some older people too, that yeah, I'm in my 50s. I'm not supposed to be sexual because my sex drive is gone. No, it is not gone. You can have as much sex as you want. Be free and be happy. If you're young, you do not have to be going through bodies on a regular basis. You can be in a relationship. You can be alone with yourself. You can have monosexuality, which is just masturbating all the time, whatever you want for yourself, you can have that option to be that. But if you just choose to go with the narrative because it makes you feel comfortable and you feel like you supposed to do that, then that's just not true. You're choosing to do that, and you can make your own narrative or you can make your own story about your own life if you choose to do so.
Amen. You better preach. Hallelujah. And and also, I like to let people know that when you live that way, you don't know why you think what you think or why you think what you or why you feel what you feel or why you believe what you believe. You are a slave to other people, and you don't know
Mhm.
that. You're a slave to the mindset, to the patriarchy, and they are controlling you because you have no idea what motivates you in life or why you get up and go and do the things you do. I would ask my ex shit. I'd be like, "Why'd you do that?" He'd be like, "I don't know why I did that. Why'd you say that? I don't know why I said that." I'm like, "Okay." He would be like, "I don't look forward to getting older. I won't be able to have fun once I turn 30." I said, "Okay, why do you believe that?" I don't know. I'm like, "Okay, okay, that's you. That's not everybody." But I tried to level with him. I was like, "Okay, where did you get that from? Let's talk this out." He got all mad, didn't wanna get all deep. Uh, I was at the nightclub, this club called Splash the other night with my delicious new friends, just a good, safe group of people for me to hang out with. And Twirling Splash is like a, 18 maybe like 24-year-old general dance club right outside of Louisiana State University. But nobody in there is judging you. As long as you can be old as whatever. As long as you go in there, I had whatever color beard on I was rocking, and it was like cool, man. Fucking, right. And there was this dude, old, white-haired, he had on, like, a fetish kink, kind of like Scottish Celtic dress, leather, updo look, go I was here for it. But when I left, I heard these mean-ass queens in the parking lot throwing shade, I think, at him, talking about, like, talking about this old man in the club. And I said, "You know what? Them little young fuckers don't understand that the bad karma that they're sowing for themselves and
Mhm.
petty like that because they not gonna be young forever, assuming that they're even blessed enough to get to be." That guy must have been 60, 70 years old, walking around there with a spring in his step. Young and big mouth and arrogant like that is only gonna make you old and crippled, because you're not sowing good seed for yourself. I respected the fact that he was in there with gray hair, twirling around with 18-year-olds with full fucking confidence. Bitch, no one's who can stop him, who can check him. He paid his cover. He pays. Okay. It's a free fucking country. I respected the fuck out of him and I complimented him. I did not like seeing the damn queens in the club being petty. Oh, that stems from insecurity any fucking way.
Mm, nothing but insecurity, and that's their problem. And I that's the one thing I try to help a lot of people understand is that when you go out your way to try to make somebody else feel bad or just comment on their existence just for being there, it's because you're insecure. That is something within you wish that you were that person, and you need to explore exactly why. Because what did he do to you all to make you want to be so negative other than existing in your space and enjoying his life? Are you jealous that this is a grown ass person enjoying their life in the youth of their age? Make it to that point. Like, the man is doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. Do you not feel comfortable enough that you can do whatever the fuck you want? That's your problem.
Yeah, people shouldn't be so shook just because somebody walked through the fucking door. They should have been like dancing and twerking and popping their own pussy severely and not people watching like that. I don't like the people watch. I like to be in the middle of the crowd. I cannot spend my life watching other motherfucking people. That's why I don't like reality TV. I despise reels and things like that because people just sit there and watch other damn people all day, and then they don't have an attention span worth a damn. Can't explain shit, but they can tell you what everybody fucking did on social media. It's so fucking stupid.
Now, I will say I'm a people watcher. I'm not going to lie, but I also like to live my own life.
Hey,
But
there's balance for everything. I'm not judging you if you want to watch, but
mhm,
fuck, you got to get up and engage at some point. I'm not sitting around and watching none of y'all hoes. Y'all can watch
I agree.
me. That's what y'all
Um,
can do.
there is something I did wanna talk about. It's related to your ex as well as people like him. I consider them as NPCs. For those who are not gamers, that's just a non-playable character. The reason why, 'cause my little cousin, he was an NPC at one point. I had to make sure he pressed star so he can get his, a person playing. So, these are people, when you do ask them whether it's on their mind, it's just something blank. If they do act, well, let's not say act, they react. And when they react, there's no thought process in that. And sometimes they're just in the motions of doing things with no thought behind it. So, like, whenever you find a person like that, do your if they're young and if it's somebody that you love a lot, help them learn how to critically think. Once you get to that point and they start to do that, there's a completely different shift in their energy and how they interact and how they respond and what they do. They start to think a lot more. It becomes so much easier for you. Like, my little cousin used to be like a problem child. Now he's like the best child in the house because ain't no way I'm going to have my own and be an NPC out here. Well, we don't. No, no. So make contact your friends, contact your family members. Don't let them be an NPC. That's all I wanted to say on.
Well, there goes that's a good nod to my Dungeons& and Dragons reference earlier,
Right.
which it was a cute ass movie, but, the Lord speaks to us in all kind of ways, through movies, through shows, television, everything's just all about whether or not your ears are open to listen. Imma say you can offer help to these NPCs because God knows, I loved my boyfriend and I tried to help him. One of his mindless times like that was when we had first broke up, and I wish I hadn't gotten back together with him, but I didn't know that narcissistic personality disorder was a fucking thing. I just thought it was like immaturity or some shit. But he was out there for 3 weeks. He would complain about not having enough friends, but there's a reason people don't like being around him. because of that heavy ass energy that he has. And he refused to let it go. So we're both single for 3 weeks. Although I never limited it from having friends. What he decided to do was go rack up 6 different fuck buddies and one supposedly platonic friend, all met through hookup apps. I say, okay, you complain about not having friends, but you chose to go rack up fuck buddies again. Okay, narcissistic people do this. They create the shit they hate and then they blame other people or just bitch about it, even though they
Yep.
literally created it and did it. And so, but this was when COVID was popping off. We had tests but no vaccines. None of him nor his hoes got tested. And then he let me come around here with no mask on. It was not a pretty night once I discovered that he had been out fucking because he left a wine bottle, a port wine bottle in his kitchen because we were trying to be friends or sort it out. Or, I was thinking I wanted to get back with him or whatever. And I'm like, you're not classy enough to buy something like this because I taught you everything you know about taste and design. So you've been with some dude. Otherwise, this bottle wouldn't be sitting here because you're a box wine bitch. And so, nothing against box wine. I have it in here too, but I also have the bottles and the crystal glasses. That was one of those mindless, like, how in the hell? And the only thing that could come out of his mouth was, I'm single, right? I can go do what I want. True.
Mm,
Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you need to pass up CVS and don't get your nose swabbed, but you can go lay in bed all night with people. And then you come around other folks who didn't even benefit from the damn sex and you don't bother to tell them.
mm,
That was his mindless moment. We hashed that out and talked about it. This is why I had to break up with him. Years later, he's back at it again. This time he's out having sex with people knowing he's COVID positive and didn't give a fuck. So you can try to talk sense into some people when they doing mindless shit where they just don't seem to be able to comprehend their actions and the consequences and the fallout. But if they are hard headed or what the Bible calls a reprobate mind, you from such turn away and let their go. 'Cause you're gonna worry
yeah.
about trying to reason with people who don't wanna be reasoned with.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, this is why you gotta make sure you get them while like, your family members while they're young, because once they adult, once they're past age 25, 26, 27, when that brain is finalized, oh, no, all you can do is just offer them help. Just like, "Have you ever thought about therapy?" I've been in it, it's great, it's wonderful. I don't know if there's anything I know, oh boy, he ain't going for that, and that's his problem. But for those out there who may have somebody who may be open to that, do your best to get them into some kind of therapy because it's a lot of work dealing with the narcissist. It is a lot. Like, the self-fulfilling prophecy that they want to set up for themselves with nothing but failure or nothing but their own demise, that's on them, and they love to do it. You don't need to put yourself into that at all.
Hell to the no. You talked about masturbation as an option. Okay, one of the things that I would like to point out to people, another point that was very difficult for me to try to get across to he who must not be named, is that masturbation is not like a secondary stepchild to physical encounters with people. Some people in this world think that masturbation is a consolation prize. Like I couldn't find someone to meet up with, so I guess I'll just have to, wank it and go to bed. Like it's a thing to be sad about. You touched on this briefly by saying someone could have like a solo relationship with themselves and
Mhm,
it's great. Do you care to dive deeper into why masturbation is not supposed to be compared to sucking dick, penetrative sex, group sex, and why it's simply just another option? And actually, you can connect with yourself through masturbation. You can't do that when you're with somebody else because it's supposed to be about that
mhm,
person. Masturbation is a powerful tool, depends on how you look at it.
ooh, I love me some masturbation. Masturbation is just another way for you to show yourself how much you love yourself, but do it in a sexual way. When it comes to, like, self-care, let's just put it broad and just say self-care. Self-care can include masturbation. When it comes to self-care, self-love, you're doing things that make you feel good, make you wanna love yourself and all this other stuff. Masturbation is just another form of showing yourself some kinda love. it also gives you the opportunity to find the pleasure spots that other people cannot find or that they don't know about. It helps you figure out what your sexual I forget your not sexual cycle, it might be sexual cycle, but the flow of your body when it comes to peak to fall. It helps you understand, "Oh, in this point, my body wants a little bit more nipple play, or my body wants me to rub on my leg some, or a different part of my body becomes a lot more sensitive. So let me explore that a little bit while I'm engaging in jerking myself off or playing with my clitoris or playing with whatever body part that you want to play with, asshole, whatever. You engage into, well, you get to know your body in a new way, a new sexual way that engaging with other people don't often provide for you. And it also helps give them the cues that they need to make sure that they're pleasing you well. A thing I like to tell a lot of people is that if you don't know what you like, how can you tell another person? Masturbation helps you find out exactly what you like. Now, yeah, sometimes when you engage with other people, they may do a little tickle tickle somewhere. You just like, oh shit, I did not know I like that. Hold up. Can we revisit that one more time? And oh yeah, right there. I know I said one more time. We're gonna just make this last. This one moment is going to be for a day. Thank you so much, Lord. Thank when you get into those moments, yeah, they happen, but those those situations are a lot more rare if you don't already know your body. So masturbate. It's a spiritual connection based off of who the person is, how they practice their spirituality. So do it. It's rewarding.
It's all about perspective, and perspective is everything. And but people, masturbation is not less than penetrative sex or
Mm,
meeting with somebody. It's it's hell, it's sexual. No, you don't have to worry about STDs. You don't have to worry about the games people play on apps. You don't have to worry about getting cut up into itty bitty pieces. You don't have to. I mean, it's all you. You can light candles, put on some music, drip your honey over yourself. You
mm.
get a whole thing.
Child, now you about to make me go off somewhere and hold myself out. Jesus,
Oh,
call me a bad bitch, Vernon. Call me a motherfucking bad bitch. Choke me. Let me stop.
look, while you playing, my throat's still a little bit sore from earlier today because that man was
Ooh,
strong. And so
mm, we love to see it.
and y'all know your girl over here is submissive and loves to be dominated. And so let me see here. I want to touch briefly on sexual performance. I think every man I've ever gotten dick from, and I don't know if this is God's way of pushing procreation along or what, you know, he feels some type of way. It's like it's almost like he feels like he's going to a job when he's getting in bed and something like that. And if that's just the XY chromosome way, fine. I'm not here to judge men for this, but I just wish that they would take I'm stepping into my full woman mode now. I wish you men would take the stress off of yourself. It's because it's kind of like an anxiety,
Mm,
that comes over men. And I'm all like, we're here, we're naked. So you've been accepted. So I get that you want to, I don't know why it's there. It can become corrupt though, because a lot of times these men are out here needing to have sex for validation of themselves. It's
mm,
no, he's trying to get you off. If he even if he gives a fuck enough to do that, a lot of times it's not out of care for you. It's just to make him feel good that he did a good job. Which I don't like that.
mm,
You know, it's about it should be about both people being vulnerable and enjoying each other and giving each other whatever it is they have communicated is going to make them happy,
mhm.
period. So, but what is this whole performance? I got to do this stress y'all be bringing into my bed.
Right. So I literally just did like last month I did a workshop that was based on performance anxiety. And it does exist for a lot of men. And there are reasons behind it. Like when you look at the narratives that are pushed towards men, it is that you have to perform very well just so that you can keep your partner. If you're not bringing your A game, then then this person's not going to ask you back, which is also a hit to their ego. It is you also have that if you do not perform well enough, you're less of a man, which also is a hit to the ego. So it's so many different narratives that are pushed for men in general that make us want to perform or outperform other dudes. So we have to just really let that go and recognize that when it comes to sex, don't go into this with expectations that it's going to be top notch. Go into that willing and ready to enjoy each other's bodies or multiple people's bodies because it is an experience that's worth being lived, not worth being a film. It's not worth being something that you're performing like you are doing some type of porno. And porn is also another reason why there's a lot of performance anxiety because people think that these sounds that these people are making are real. That, "Oh, I'm supposed to have my partner screaming out my name and all these other things," but no, some people are silent, some people do moan, some people do sound like that. But that's just how they express themselves, and if you need that kind of validation from your partner, like that verbalness, then you have to communicate with your partner about that too. But you also have to explore, why is it that I feel as though I need that validation? And a lot of times it's because that's the narrative that people decided to purchase because it was given to them, and you don't have to do that. Another thing is when it comes to performance anxiety is that when we meet new partners or we engage in sex with somebody, there's that fear of being the topic of discussion in the group chat, and you know when you're in the group chat, it's not a good thing. So that makes people want to perform a little bit better to prevent any kind of shame or indirect shame from after that sexual experience. Like, if this is a person that you're not gonna ever meet up again with, why are you worried? Like, just enjoy yourself. So, that's just some of the stuff.
Even if it's somebody that you love or you want to get to know, anybody who's going to judge you and dismiss you based on your sexual performance is not a good person.
Mhm,
No.
agreed.
You are a human, you're a child of God, and God created sex, not Pornhub, not Grinder, not none of those places. I don't care how they seem to have a monopoly on it, but no. You are more than your dick. You're more than your pussy and your titties and everything. And these people who say are like, say, size queens and shit, and they're like, unless you have a big black cock, don't come over here or this or that. Okay, they have their preferences. It is not right for them to demonize it and make it seem like it's a negative thing if your dick is under a certain amount of inches. Just be like, I prefer 10 and above, but no tea and no shade against 9.11 inches in low, you know, and so people just got all kind of like fucked up and twisted minds. But at the end of the
Mhm.
goddamn day, it is a human connection. That's supposed to be a beautiful expression of something that God created. It's not supposed to be done in such a way that ever causes harm to anybody else in any way or to yourself. And I just don't think that that's what it is in society anymore. So men have performance anxiety, and he cannot attune. I don't know what the other people told you. I am not judging you, for the dick size, but you cannot accept what I'm saying because you have this anxiety so deep within you that you're panicking with me, even though I am not the source of your panic.
Mhm.
I've had dicks that have been 2 inches all the way up to 17. Okay, and
Uh,
people ask me, what the hell do you do with a dick that big? And whatever you can. And so,
that's fair.
anything but wrong thing will let you out the room anyway. But he just take his dick and block the door, you can't get out, trust me, and so but the point is, I didn't turn down the 2-inch dick dude or the 17-inch dick dude because I value them as humans. Anything other than that, fuck them. You don't let
Yeah.
nobody make you feel bad because of your anatomy and shit like that. If you're too fat for them or too skinny, whatever, fuck all that. 'Cause that's just insecure ass people putting that
Mhm.
energy out.
Exactly.
This brings me to the downside of dating apps. This is one of the points that you emailed me that you wanted to talk about. Being single now, and even though when I was in my relationship, we were trying to become polyamorous anyway, so we would step into these apps and different things like that, which is what made his cheating all the more stupid because we were already having orgies and shit with people anyway. And so, and having sex with people separately, we had paused it because the shit had got a little shaky, but that was expected. All we had to do was go back to counseling and fix it. He decided to go cheat when we were already trying to be open. It's so fucking stupid. So, it's so,
Narcissist.
be like, yeah, girl.
Self-fulfilling prophecies, you know? This will never work out. I do not deserve this relationship. Okay, so we're gonna do something to fuck it up. Self-fulfilling prophecy is narcissism. It is.
Yeah, he asked me years ago, just kinda like in the middle of an argument or at the end of one, like, he asked me, like, why I was with him. Like, he was saying, like, he did not gauge himself as being worthy of being with me. I would never allow that to happen I would never persist because if a man don't feel himself worthy of his queen, then eventually he gonna do something to fuck it up, but I never judged him. I accepted him as he was. You know, warts, fucked up, dirty ass, wrinkled clothes, nappy hair, which I helped to fix. And resolve and all. I didn't judge him for that or think him of less. I just looked at it as an opportunity to add value. And so but now, baby like Trina, I'm single again, back on the prowl. I thought it was perfect, and I don't know how.
Oh, yes, Trina.
Imma say it one more time. I'm single again,
Yes,
back on the
Trina.
prowl.
Oh,
Thought it
yes,
was perfect,
Trina.
and I don't know how.
She's a goddess.
The diamond princess, the other diamond princess, I take after her. If I ain't mistaken, Doc Scott, these people have devolved into a worse pile of negative goo on these apps than they were years ago. Because I
Ooh.
really hadn't been on them just like that. It seemed like these people have gotten worse, more selfish, more games, more lying, more just toying with people.
I agree. I'm glad that this is sounding universal. Oh my god, because I know here in the South, I've been in different cities, I've been in different states, and I'm just like, why is this the same? Is it just because of where I'm located? Is this a problem, Lord? What do I need to do? Where should I go to find the freedom? I'm glad that this is okay. It's over there too. It's just across the board at this point. The science is saying that it's a significant difference between the years. Oh my god. But yes, I agree. It's like, it's just trash. I do not understand what the fuck happened. Yes, back in the day, like I became accustomed to seeing like no fats, no films, no old people on people's profiles, but it wasn't like that many profiles. You may get the flake every now and again. You may get the scammer or the massage person every now and again, but it wasn't something that was frequent. Now you got the scammers, you got the flakes, the people who just want to waste your time, the people who are insecure, the people who just want to BDL, but they're like, hey, let's fuck in public. And I'm like, how the fuck does this work? How people who just want to perform every single thing that they see on Twitter, on the Twitter porn, because I'm a fan of Twitter porn, I'll be honest. But talking about, hey, let's meet up at the gym. And I'm just like, but I have my own place. Why do we have to go to a gym? What the fuck is going on? It's just, I don't know what the fuck is going on and what the fuck is in the water. I just need them to clean that shit out. Have we been drinking the water from Palestine? Is this what's going on? But granted, that only happened recently, so it has to be some other kinda, it's Flint water. We've been drinking Flint water this entire time, and all this led to got everybody on these damn apps, all the kinda fucked up. That's what's happening. That's the conspiracy, y'all. Let's go with it. I'm tired.
And I'm gonna talk about how you get addicted. It's called variable ratio reinforcement. I discovered this shit. The but fuck, I guess I'll just go ahead and talk about it now, because otherwise you can get caught in the variable ratio reinforcement, and it's the same thing that casinos use. So it's like if you sitting at the slot machine or playing cards and you hit a little jackpot or a big one, you can't quantify, I need to pull the slot or tap the button 15 times, 10 times. I need to deal 2 decks, 2 hands, or whatever. All you know is that if you keep at it, eventually something gonna hit. Kinda like going fishing. You don't know how many times you have to throw bait in the water, but you know if you stay out there long enough, you're gonna reel something in, even though you don't know what the quality of it is gonna be or anything, if it's gonna be really worth your time, the time and energy you've invested. And these apps have an algorithm running the same damn way. Everything is pre-programmed. The taps, the likes, the sounds they make, the certain keys that those sounds are written in, all of that is meant to play on your emotions and to keep you in that loop. That's why you look around your whole damn day past, and yet you feel emotional about it because you get a tap, you get a like, somebody messages you. You don't know if this is gonna lead to a hookup, your next husband. I hope y'all got enough sense to not try to find a husband on Grinder. And so, trust me, from my last relationship, you cannot turn a hoe into a husband. I tried. However I meet a bitch.
I'm trying to turn to a husband. Hold up.
Yeah, but you're a different kind of hoe because you're a responsible thinking hoe. Never intentionally give somebody COVID just to bust a nut.
True that, true that.
So you use hoe loosely. I mean, a recklessly whorish person who gives no fucks about fucking married people and doing all of this shit that he did with no conscience. That
Mm,
type of trifling asshole, you cannot turn into
gotcha,
a husband. They don't have the capacity.
gotcha. Trifling hoes you can't make into a husband.
So, but they right? But these apps play on our hopes, but we're hoping for something good. And so you don't know where that message is gonna lead, and so you stay there like a desperate person hoping that it's gonna be the next one and the next one, the next one. And that is called variable ratio reinforcement.
Hmm. I see that playing out quite well for a lot of people in terms of, like, feeding the addiction, because even when I notice, like, I'm not super attached to my phone, so I see whenever I get, like, a random message from some random account about, like, they sent me an image or a random tap, and occasionally I'll look in there and just see what the hell, like, well, who is this? Go to the account that sent the picture and it's just a regular ad bot, and I just, delete that, or the tap is another bot, and I'm just like, "Where are these accounts coming from? Why are you messaging me?" And I believe it's because of, like, what you were saying, this is just to try to get me back on the app to be searching for other people, because once I open the app, now somebody sees my profile, they think I'm looking, they think I'm available, they think I wanna hook up, and now I have to have this conversation with this person like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually at work, and I was just responding to a message." And even that doesn't even work out well. Okay, is there anything else you needed to share before I go on this little small rant?
Rant on, rant on.
Okay, so the issue that I really hate about today's day is the fact that people like, back in the day, it was so much easier for me to find regulars. I can have a conversation, they'll say, "Oh, this is my availability, when are you free?" and all this other stuff. These days, I tell somebody, "Oh, I'm not available during the week, but I'm available through the weekend." Now we have a fucking problem because they're just like, "What you mean? Why can't you hook up now?" Because bitch, I have a fucking job. Do you not work? Like, what what do you mean? Or when I engage with somebody and we do hook up or something like that, and I'm like, "Hey, would you like this again on a basis?" I automatically think I'm trying to have a relationship. No, fam. I'm not. No, I know what I want for a relationship, and it's clearly not you, because we wouldn't be having sex this frequently. Well, this early on, if I saw you as being relationship material, based on our conversations, you already disqualified yourself for that. So no, we're not going to be in a relationship. You are here for dick only. Why do you think it's going to be anything else? No, the dick was not that good that I fell in love. And even if it was that good that you had my fucking legs shaking, that does not mean that we will be in a damn relationship, because you will be here. for good dick purposes only because you were able to scratch the itch that not so many motherfuckers could scratch. So go scratch the itch. That's all you need to do. You have one motherfucking job. That's it. Okay? Okay. But, these days it's just too much. It's as much as I try to communicate with people and have these conversations in a healthy way, it always gets to a point where I'm just like, you know what? I just can't even deal with this anymore. Like even right now in this time, I'm in my transition off of these apps once again, and I just put them back on my phone. Back, I think it was like late February. I added them back onto my phone, and I'm just like, it's already done its course. It's time for me to get back off of it because there's no substance to many other people on the apps. It's a dumpster fire, and it stinks.
It's a hellish dumpster fire, but, as the Lord said in the last days, men would become lovers of themselves, you know forsaking righteousness and good moral character and standards and treating people right, people would prefer themselves over even God. And that is what we're seeing play out. It's all about them, what they want, what they need right now. What can I get from you? And things like that. My like 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 my ex thought it was cute that the guy he cheated on me with, who he gave COVID to, he didn't bother to pay attention whether or not the other dude nutted or not. Like that was somehow a good thing. I think maybe he was trying to say, I only care about that when I have sex with you and not when I go hook up with people. And I told him that's really fucked up with you because that person's still a human. And you drove all the way up there, damn near 30 minutes, damn near outside of the city limits to roll around in bed with someone for pretty much an hour, give them COVID, and you didn't even care if they came. This is not to your credit, but you did but
I'm a
but
violent person, but he really does make me want to throw hands. Bitch, you gave me COVID. You're not thinking of that. Oh, and you didn't care. Oh my god.
oh, yeah, I wanted to hit him a couple of times, but you know, but this is a sort of example that God is speaking about. As the days tick on and the sun sets lower in the sky, this is professed in these apps. Everybody on there doesn't care about anything about how many options they can have.
Mm,
And as Madonna said in the Love Perfusion song, Doc Scott, there are too many options. There's no consolation and no resolution. And as I say it, options are the illusion of freedom. You think because you got all these people, you fucking 17 fuck boys or whatever, that you a king on a throne, but really you're entangled, in a web of sexual control that has you. You don't have it.
mm,
you know, or whatever your options are. It's not about for all the options people have, people are more depressed. I'm talking about young fucking people. I can't tell you how many people in their 20s depressed. But wait, you fucking everybody you want or not. You doing all the drugs or not. What the fuck do you want? You grew up in a good house. Your parents. What the hell does it take? Telling yourself the truth, working through your issues, and getting close to God, which is what you don't want to do because you want to do everything else. You have too many options, and you
mm,
just don't know what to do with them, and so you're overwhelmed, and so you don't really make progress as you try to do every fucking thing, but
yeah,
nothing that really counts. And so I wanted to talk about them damn apps, how you were saying, like, they send the bots to reel you back in. Yes, it makes you have more screen time and talk to people, but that also relates to more money for them because then they can go and show people who are doing ad spin with them and buying advertisements. Ad spin, or is another way of saying advertisements. They can say, okay, our average user login time is this, so we're going to charge you more money. You see, they don't give a
mm,
damn about the fact that they're playing with your feelings and everything by baiting you back in. They're only concerned about the bottom line.
mhm.
So,
And these days I realize that if you check a message on Grinder and then click out of the message, you're automatically fed an ad. And this ad lasts for 5 seconds, 15 seconds, what have you. That's what they're ad thing is these days. Usually, you didn't see any ads pop up on your screen or anything like that. You can go to a profile, go to the next one, here's an ad. That's, like, literally I just pulled up my Grinder, I clicked on a random profile, just clicked off of it. Oh, it didn't do it this time. That.
Look at God.
Usually, it just pop up a whole ass ad. I guess they d well, excuse me, make me be wrong today.
But now it's not as incessant. Maybe the ads dimmed
Mhm.
down. Who knows? I doubt they're doing it out of the kindness of their fucking black hearts. Uh, these are the last two things we're going to talk about. I'm going to circle back to sex addiction, and we're going to talk about limitations on having a big dick. And so, because I mentioned that 17 incher, and every time I say that, dudes just be like, "What?" All this, and so I'm like, okay.
Right.
Oh, I want people to be sure that check whether or not you may or may not be a sex addict. You go to SAA.org. There's a test on there you can take. It asks you questions. There's different levels to it, that, but I want you to be honest with yourself because it's a good rubric. Nobody's saying you got to run off and get a sponsor and join the programs and all of that. But these as sex apps promote sex addiction. I
Mm,
can't how many damn people I meet who are willing to cheat on their boyfriends, cheat on their wives, and I have to tell them, bitch, no. I just broke up with somebody for being just like you. And I'm not going to sow this karma into my life so God can fly down here and deal with my dark ass because I don't give a fuck about who I hurt. And so we can rationalize away a million things in our brain
mm,
to make it make sense. The things these married men will say, I love my wife, but I just have this side of me. No, I'll go home and talk to her. She might be down with it. Hell, you never know. Shit, give the bitch a
exactly.
chance. It's not like she don't know that she will find out. We always find out. So just tell the bitch and be done with it. And,
That part.
making a damn fool of yourself before all the angels in heaven and everything, because everything we do is watched. There are no true secrets. And so I advise people to just go. And being sex positive is one thing, but if you have a growing sex addiction, you need to get on top of that and take care of that. It can sneak up on you and surprise you in different ways. You know, in my relationship, my partner never initiated sex. He tried like 3 times. The first time was referencing sex he had had with somebody else, which I wasn't comfortable with. The second time was with a bed full of sex toys, and then the third time, the way he said it was so fake, I couldn't take him seriously because he's only used to asking for sex through an app. And so I leveled with him. I was like, "Do you need to text me this request so we can work on building you up vocally?" But these apps have stolen the voice of men. You know,
Mm.
I was in Puerto Vallarta the last time. Sex flows in the streets there, but only if you're on an app. I'm at a club. These 2 dudes wanted to hook up, I think. I was still with my partner then, and though I could have asked for an exception, I was trying to honor him and our relationship and choosing not to. And but they both had their apps on. They were clearly on Grinder as to say, "Hey, if Devaney gets his Grinder out," which I didn't have the app, "then maybe that means we can hook up." I'm like, or you could just tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Bitch, let's fuck." But they can't do that because they can only talk through technology. So I encourage people to just give yourself an honest look. You don't have to tell anybody if you go to the website, but the shit gonna catch up with you one day because if you are addicted to it and it can come in many forms and you're out of balance, you're only gonna hurt yourself. If there's anything you'd like to say about sex addiction before I talk about these big dicks and then we gonna close out?
No, I agree with everything that you said. People really do need to, like, reevaluate their connection in their relationship with their sexual expression. This is coming from somebody who did not believe sex addiction was a thing because beforehand, I just thought it was something that a lot of, let's say, prominent figures would say they have in order for them to not take accountability for the fact that they're watching a lot of porn or they're having a lot of sex or they're cheating on their spouse. But it's actually a real thing. Some people fall into sex addiction by making it a game. So they gamify their sexual experience, meaning scoring and all this other stuff. And now they're having sex and whatever, or they use sex in order for them to get dopamine, that little sense of fulfillment, and that the only way that they can feel good about themselves is to have sex with somebody or to conquer a body or whatever the case is. even when it comes to that connection with sex and drugs. That's another way that people can easily cycle into some kind of addiction too. So definitely go to that site, figure out what it is, recognize, be able to call a thing, find the help that you need in order for you to find a healthy balance of how you can express yourself sexually.
Mhm. And doing fucked up shit like going running, doing porn, jacking off, or having cyber sex with people on apps and not reaching out to the partner that you're in a relationship with is a part of that. It is not
Mhm.
cool to replace the sex with your significant other with some dude off of a fucking app.
Right.
So, but I'm gonna put that link to SAA in the show notes, and I'm probably gonna put it down there in the permanent show notes too, because sex is a huge problem in this world.
Mm.
But so y'all, I talked about the 17-inch dick that I got impaled with. And, I'm power bottom, and boys have been trying to get me to go to the bathhouse so they never would tell me why, but once they could see I could take dick really well, they always wanted to go, I guess, put me on display or share me with the homies. Not that I wouldn't have been open to it, but they didn't look me in the eye and say, "This is what we have in mind." They just wanted me to follow them down there, and whatever happens, happens. I don't play that.
Mm.
Let bitch know what she's thinking. And it's not all glorious though, because Imma tell you, and I'm saying this because some men have a preoccupation with dick size. I'm like, whether it's cut or uncut and all that, and that's a whole other can of worms. I'm just gonna say, don't let anybody judge you for your anatomy. Fuck them if they have a problem.
That.
But fellas, if you don't have a 10 to 17-inch ding dong, who cares? Not everybody wants all that. There's some people I know who have dick size limits. Like if your dick is over 7 or 8 inches, they will not let you have sex with them. Period. Period. And that's their limit. They respect their bodies. So not every door is open to you. Not everybody is chasing after people with 12-inch dicks and everything like that. Porn has glorified this and made it what it is not in real life.
Mhm.
Because remember in porn, they have all of these models, actors, measurements. They know how deep the assholes go, the pussy holes go, how thick everything is. It's a setup. It is not like real life where you don't exactly know how shit's gonna fit. All of this is known before they even much press record on that camera. And so, whatever size you have, you know, work with what you got. You cannot pick your own dick. So there's no sense in sitting around being angry because you don't look like the next guy or how you think you should. Take control of your thoughts and conduct yourself with confidence, and that is how you win people. The reason why I didn't turn down the dude with the 2-inch dick, because he had his chest up and out proud like he was fucking Mustafa in the damn Pride Rock, in the damn Lion King, bitch, and nobody he went forth with power, conquering, y you know and none turned aside, and everything had to get the fuck out of his way, you know? I'm
That
like,
king shit.
you could that king shit. I'm like, "Okay, you convinced? I'm convinced. Alright." Didn't get much out of the sex, but I was just so floored that he thought so highly of himself, and I thought, "This is how men should be." They shouldn't relegate their value to dick size. It is
Mm.
you can't fit a whole long dick into a hole fully. There's no going balls deep for people like that a lot of times, depending on the hole. People, depends, but it's not a guarantee, you know? Some people will only fuck people with big old dicks like that, but then only marry and get in serious relationships with people in a more reasonable range for them. So it's not all green grasses on the other side. If
Ye
you don't have a huge dick, it's not all good. Everything has sides to it.
I agree. I know, like, even from my own personal history, I can't say that I had a 17. I sure as hell did not. I did have someone who was, like, 9 inches and thick as hell, and that was, like, a struggle, but it was still an enjoyable sexual experience after, time goes past. But I also have some people whose dicks were, like, smaller than mine, and I actually enjoyed the sex, and it was actually great quality sex. It's like, whatever your size is, be proud of it, love on it, and figure out how you can make it work with your sexual partners. Does that mean switching up to a different position? Because look, Not everybody can do doggy style. I know for myself, I have a lot of ass and shit. Like, not everything can just, penetrate. So it's like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but we can figure different things out. Do we need to do some frottage play? Do we need to, like, do some nipple play? Or I do not do strictly oral. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not your boy for that. Just not. But, like, are we gonna be doing some nipple play? Are we gonna be doing some neck biting, some neck licking, some ear nibbling, all these other things? There's different things you can do with people that does not even revolve around dick size, and when people figure that out, oh my god, you unlock a truly new feature. So,
A whole new world.
mm, a
Okay.
shiny place I never knew.
I'm gonna say this last thing here, okay, and I'm gonna let you have the last word and tell people all about the importance of loving themselves or whatever the fuck you want to say. I just want the world to know that my asshole is still very, very tight. Over years.
No, Lord. Let them know.
This is so serious because I'm talking about 17-inch dicks. I don't need these fellas thinking my hole is runt. Nothing like that. It is not. Okay, it has always maintained divine elasticity, honey.
Likewise.
Divine elasticity. And plus, I go each year to get my anal rejuvenation procedure done. And so as I get older, Miss Bussy gets tighter and tighter and tighter. She is still vice grippy and clenchy, and she will make you bust quick.
Mm, we love to see it. Look, I don't do the anal rejuvenation, but I will say mine just stay tight. It just is what it is. I refuse to experience any kind of anal tearing. That shit hurts. Y'all can have that. Not for me.
Well, there's power bottoms like me, and then there's non-power bottoms. You gotta know what you can take,
Yeah,
honey.
got that. I'm not. I didn't audition for 50 Cent's show either, so I'm not nothing dealing with the power. Fuck that. You got that. More power to you. I bow down. Oh god.
Go ahead with your last word. Tell the people whatever
Oh,
they
okay. So my last words to you all. I'm actually gonna read the thing that I closed my show out, but before then, y'all can find me over at the Holistic Podcast. Just look at all the links in the show notes. If you do need to explore yourself, figure out who you are sexually, I definitely recommend purchasing the journal. It has many prompts in there for you. It's a very deep dive into who you are, and I've only been receiving great feedback from it, so that's something that you can look out for. If
is
you
that
are also Mhm.
sorry to cut you off. That's at the Holiliquy.com website or Slater's Playhouse?
uh, this is at Slater's Playhouse. The journal's at Slater's Playhouse. If you follow me on Instagram, the link is in the bio for you to go to the page to purchase those directly. On Other than that, if you are just trying to learn a little bit more about yourself and be a little bit more sex positive and feel comfortable about yourself, I definitely recommend purchasing the book, The Essential Guide on How to Be a Hoe. If you want to see what you're going to be purchasing and you feel like you need to get the free version, there are some chapters that are released online for you to review. You can find that on Slater's Playhouse. Chapters 1 through 3, I believe, are available to you free of charge for you to look at. There's also a digital download that you can have there too. But that's pretty much it. Look at those links below. Now, my message that I usually leave for the audience on my show, just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy, you are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. And with that said, I love you all. And that's it.
That's it for the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. We will see you next time. Thank you so much, Dr. Scott.
You're welcome, love.
Thank you all so much for taking time to listen to the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. It really means everything to me. Look, if you love the show, you can find more information and resources at sexdrugsandjesus.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Feel free to reach out to me directly at Vernon at sexdrugsandjesus.com and on Twitter and Facebook as well. My name is Vernon. It's been wonderful being your host today. And just remember that everything is going to be all right.